Okay, I'm going to confess something to you that no one in the universe knows. Okay. Shortly after Dr. King was murdered, I was in Fort Wayne.
The Oral History Workshop was created several years ago as a vehicle for doing immersive learning at Ball State University. Immersive learning is our brand. It's what differentiates our university from any other public institution in the state or in the region. It essentially involves pulling together a variety of students from different backgrounds, different majors and programs, and forging them into a team that then performs a service or provides a product for typically an off-campus partner.
The project I worked on this semester was the Ball State African American Alumni Oral History Project. The purpose of this workshop was to bring the African American alumni that have gone through Ball State back into the history of the university.
We read the history of Ball State University to prepare for the project and talked a little bit about the Middletown studies, which were done in Muncie in the first half of the 20th century. And the thing about the Middletown studies was that they studied Muncie and they looked at the university a little bit, but they sort of ignored the African American side of things. So we interviewed African American alumni to get their side of the story.
I conducted 2 interviews and they both went really well. I had researched the interviewees beforehand, and so I knew a basic timeline of their life, and the interview itself kind of went as though we were just having a conversation and learning about their lives and their experiences.
Part of our research for this class was visiting the Charles H. Wright African American History Museum. And so we took a day trip over there, and that was great because there was team bonding, but the best part was just the experience that our personal tour guide had to share with us. And he kind of reoriented some of our minds a little bit so that we could really understand the struggle of not only those who were actually put into slavery, but also the struggle of people who have that to look back on as their history.
I haven't had a whole lot of experience going into archives and things like that. Like, I consider myself to be a pretty good researcher already, but this project has supplemented my skill set by giving me practical, real-world experience, because the research I did to help me prepare interviews that went fairly well, that'll be incorporated into the university's archives, which will be in turn be used by historians to write the next chapter of Ball State's history.
Does racism still exist? Yes. I still have discussions with my children. Yes.
When people feel like they're being marginalized and not listened to, yeah, they're going to raise up. And if your only way of combating that is that we're going to shoot them, we're going to imprison them, then at some point, what makes you any different than a communist country or a third world country?
When I talk about racism, I'm not talking about just racial prejudice, but it's the combination of racial prejudice plus societal power, where there are institutions or things that disadvantage a whole culture.
Even if sometimes we knew that those things happen, sometimes if you read about it in a history book, it can seem distant. But to have someone actually say that this is what I went through, it kind of makes it more real.
My neighborhood that I lived in was integrated. And the school I went to, Shadeland, was integrated. And the high school was integrated. So I didn't really have any basic problems with prejudice except going to movies. And of the theaters, and there were three theaters there in Anderson at the time, and we could not sit on the first floor, we had to sit in the balcony.
We had a game, overnight game in Evansville, the Evansville Purple Aces. The team stayed at the Vendome Hotel, and I think there were either 2 of us or 3 of us on the black players on the team. And they wouldn't allow the black players to eat in the restaurant. And so one of the experiences I'll never, ever forget is that because they wouldn't let us eat in the restaurant, the other players refused also.
I never was in a non-black situation until I came to Ball State. This was my first experience of interacting with white people. My first as a college student. I was in an all-black elementary school, all-black junior high school, and middle school. So this was my first time interacting.
If anything that was going with revolutionaries, because we were coming into a self-identity of, you know, the word Negro and color was starting to vanish. We were no longer Negroes, we were no longer colored, we identified with the word black. And that's when I hear these, this younger generation talking about, well, we're not black, we're not African American. They don't know how those things came about. Those things just didn't just come out of the clear blue sky one day and say, oh, we're gonna call ourselves black. We called ourselves black because black had a negative connotation, and we was fighting that negative connotation. Instead of being colored, which was a nice word, or being Negro. No, we were black, okay? And when we was putting this in people's faces, we're black, we ain't colored, we ain't Negroes, we are black people, we come from the motherland, we come from Africa, deal with it, okay?
It seems as if people are more open to have conversations about race relations, about diversity, things of that nature. And I'm just hoping that it isn't a trend, but I'm hoping that it's really a change of heart. You see it in commercials with, interracial marriages, same-sex couples. I mean, you see all of this, and I'm just hoping that it really is people having a change of heart and it not just being a trend, because if it isn't a change of heart, then you will have the Michael Browns, the Trayvon Martins, all the other cases that haven't made CNN, that happened in Gary, that you and I don't know about.
I grew up knowing that I was going to college. Where I went, I thought was my choice. But I definitely just knew that it was what would happen.
When I was here at Ball State University, it wasn't education redefined. It was Ball State University, everything you need. That was the slogan when I was here. And so honestly, it really was everything. It was the academic push that you needed, because Ball State has always been an elite university academically, and over the years I can see that we've continued to raise that expectation. And I hate when people say raise the bar, because when people say raise the bar, that almost makes it seem like you don't want people to attend a university, and I love using that raise the expectation, because it's like anybody can attend this university, but you just have to meet that expectation to attend. So I'm always proud that Ball State is continuing to do that.
So I feel like their experiences helped me see my own academic journey as something that is necessary for a good life.
I came to Ball State with, I think, some talents and some skills and some capabilities, and I think I was able to refine those and maybe even define those even further, in addition to getting an academic degree and all of those kinds of things.
So I took music, I took history, geography, psychology. I took all the subjects I could take. I love to learn.
I'm a firm believer that education is what makes a difference in your life. Without an education, again, I've told people, I don't think Ball State hired me because I was black. Because I think they hired me because I had an education, because I had a doctorate degree, in terms of that. So I think that that education itself has made a world of difference for me.
We were prepared. All the Ball State graduates that I know of that came back and that were teaching, they were heads and shoulders above all of the other, in education, above all of the other new teachers that were in the field. Heads and shoulders above them.
My mom was very proud, and because I was the first person in the family to receive a degree, and so it was an accomplishment.
I can probably call at least 5 people right now and ask them what was something that was key to you becoming the man or woman that you are, and in their top 5, they'll say Ball State University. I wouldn't be where I am today without Ball State, so that's why I'm forever grateful to the experiences, that I've had, the people that I've met, the people that have encouraged me, and that's why I can continue to give back to Ball State.
I'm not a real Jesse Jackson fan, but he said something I thought was very inspirational, and that is that of what value is having a door open if you refuse to walk through it, the door of opportunity. And I believe in that. I think that these kids just don't have any idea of what people have gone through to get them what they have.
But at that time, women, and African American women in particular, didn't have anything else to do. We could get married out of high school, we could become a secretary, a nurse, teacher, or social worker. So really, that's all that we had to essentially choose from. If you wanted to go into medicine, or if you wanted to go into law or anything else, it was difficult. The males, even the black males, made it very difficult for you back then. Now, you young people have the world open, for you.
If we can recall and remember what has gone on in the past and not go backwards in terms of trying to provide a better society, then that's what we need to do. We can't hold on to the negative experiences only to hold on to them and say, we will always have these negative experiences. But how can we learn and move past it and grow and be a better community for everybody is what I would like to take from and encourage people to take from these conflicts that occur.
I'm grateful for an opportunity to tap into something greater because it's helped me confront the challenges of life. I'm more than grateful for, and it's a gift that I hope to pass on to generations to come.
But people who say we haven't come a long way, they are very wrong. Things have happened. This is my almost 76 years, I've seen a lot of them. There are a lot of things that have happened that have been good. They're not all finished. I think they'll continue to get better, but I think the part of it now that's got to get better is attitudinal things, and you can't legislate attitude.
So that's really my hope, that if things are changing, that they change because something really happened in my heart or in my mind that really made me say, wow, society is not this big abstract bubble out there. I make up society, and it will change when I change.
There comes a time when you know that right is right. Whether people are against you or not, you must have the courage of your own convictions to stand for what you believe.
I've met a lot of people, a lot of the interviewees, and their stories have really been very interesting and captivating. And one thing I've learned is that they actually want their stories to be told, and they actually like talking to us, and like they're very glad to get their stories out and that somebody actually cares. So I thought that was really neat.
Ball State it's been very, very good to me, very good to my family. It's been an honor, to attend Ball State for undergrad, attend Ball State for my graduate level, and now looking at the opportunity of attending Ball State for my doctorate level. I just think when you build those relationships, which goes back on the foundation of what my dad did when he was at Ball State, and continuing that, yeah, it's invaluable, the things that I could say about Ball State.
Ball State and Omega Psi Phi fraternity, I got the organizational skills, all of these things which aided me in being president of the union and just and being on boards. Ball State was a great foundation in my life.
I just think it was a really good experience, and I think like getting to meet all the people in my class was a really good experience, and getting to meet the people I interviewed and the people who I watched someone else interview. It was all a good experience.
But I think it's important that alumni give back. If you don't have money, give back in service, give back in some way, represent your alma mater. That's very important to me.
It was great for me because I got to figure out who I was, what I wanted to be known for, who I wanted to be, aside from all the stereotypes that come along with being a color or being a athlete. I got to decide to be more than just that. And so for me, Ball State allowed me the opportunity to do that.
It was like talking with a piece of history and like interacting with it, so it was really cool to see like history become alive in that way.
First of all, I'd like to say I'm happy that I was chosen for this project. Anytime over the years I found that it's an honor for me to give back to the university. I wouldn't have accomplished a lot of what I've done if it wasn't for Ball State University and the people that were surrounded.
You've been asking a lot of questions about my family and the stories of my family, and those are all stories that I will be passing down to those that will come through me and after me. And I'm really grateful that you all are doing this project as well, so that our histories do not die.